So I wanted to make a quick vlog, basically like a weekend in my life. I'm lucky enough to live by a lake, which in the spring is full of wildlife. I stood by the bank of this lake watching this turtle who basically like swam up to shore to greet me, with a bunch of fish at his back, which was super fun. Sometimes I try and walk around the lake just to clear my head, do some like spiritual maintenance, get in touch with nature a little bit. But this turtle was like just super cute. He was like coming up out of the water to come and say hello, which I loved. I got caught just kind of hanging out with him for like a good 10 minutes or so. I thought it was super, super cute. I went on a quick trip to one of my favorite thrift stores. It has a special craft section, which I love. They had a really good selection of crocheted and vintage doilies and placemats, and some other knickknacks, some cool old handkerchiefs with embroidery, and also there's a really cool piece of vintage, like 1970s woven teal green fabric for $1. I also got some really cute buttons, pearlescent ones, and then these little shells, which I loved. So overall, it was like a super successful trip. The whole lot cost me, I think, like $8. And so I was really, really pleased with that, especially with this piece of floral fabric. Super excited to do something fun with that. I also got a few vintage pillow patterns, very roughly, very old school, but I'm going to see if I can use them as inspiration to kind of make some cool things. My parents actually went to a tag sale and brought back this funny little box. I guess it was like a shoe shine box storing all of the different like mink oils and polishes for shoes. It was a little bit beat up and not in the best condition. And so I just like really liked it. I thought it was super cool. My mom was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Here, take it. So I did indeed take it. And I spent the weekend doing a couple coats of paint, just to kind of brush it up. I didn't sand it. I didn't go through like the whole refinishing process. I really just wanted to keep it kind of vintage looking and cool. I took off the shoe shine part. I painted over it in black. And I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I worked on it a little bit at night and then the next day. So this is kind of how it came out after a first coat of paint, and brightening the colors on the top. And I think it was really nice, but I wasn't happy with the brown kind of flaky border. So I used some light gray paint to just kind of brighten it up a little bit, and I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. So I'm gonna actually be using this. I wasn't sure for what, and then I decided that it would actually be great to kind of keep by me where I sew and put all of my fabric scraps in, and strings and like extra embroidery threads that I've snipped off of projects because it gets all over the floor. And so that is kind of what I decided to do. And yeah, so that was a project that I worked on as well this weekend. I'm pretty happy with the way that it turned out for sure. I also got these sweatshirts at a thrift trip a few days ago, and I was like, you know what? I really want to try and do something cool and design the sweatshirt. So I found this cool, also from the thrift store, fabric, and decided to cut a heart out of it and made a little patch to put on the front of the sweatshirt. I'm debating whether to add the little hearts into the design or if I'm just going to leave it as it is. This was a crazy find. It was $7. It's a vintage Ethan Allen piece. I just felt like I needed more organization and like storage space that's not out in the open for my sewing supplies. So this does perfectly. It was like $7. And then I also started working on this pattern of a khamsa, which I basically had this printout that I used for some teaching projects that I did when I was working with elementary school kids, and I decided to cut it into a few parts and then piece it back together to make almost like a collage, like I guess pattern, so that it's just different shapes that are going to be put together, and then embellished with kind of these like cool graphic designs. I haven't exactly thought it all through yet, but I started thinking about it. I drew the shapes out onto a piece of eco-dyed muslin, and I cut them out, and I've started to kind of play around with how I want to put things together. Of course, I spent some time with Theodore and Bamba, my cutie patooties, and I was lucky enough to be lent a lovely Singer heavy duty sewing machine by a neighbor of mine. I've been hand stitching everything, and so I was so happy to get like a real in-depth refresher course on how to use the sewing machine, and I'm so excited to set up another corner for that. And then on my trip to the lake today, I saw an amazing bird who also, like, weirdly just kind of started coming out of the water towards me, which was, like, super crazy. But it was just, like, really nice to finally have some good weather and some sun. It was a little bit chilly, but definitely not at all like the winter that we've been experiencing. And as I'm recording this, I'm just sitting in my little corner with my little lantern. And thank you guys all for watching, and I'm wishing you all a happy week.